dear friends, this is Professor Emeritus Stephen Adei. We continue our series under the umbrella of leadership for everyone, everywhere. We have come to the point where we are considering organizational leadership. Today, I want to be much more focused on team building, and my title is Leading Teams in Organizations. Leading Teams in Organizations. I hope at the end of it, we will understand the importance of effective leadership to overall success of every organization. Identify some of the major characteristics of high-performing teams and strategies for leading and managing teams. Normally, when we talk about teams, people are talking about football teams or a group of low workers under a supervisor. But at every level, people in the organization are working in teams. Even the CEO or managing director, if he's going to succeed, must have what J.P. Kuta calls guiding coalition. Often, of course, you won't have it because the coalition sounds political, but in effect, you must have a cabinet. And normally, chief executive success depend upon his heads of department, the managers, and how he manages them as a team. Or else, he will be achieving very limited results. As the proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, you have to go with others. Then, of course, it's easier to miss it that the departments are actually teams. Accounting, production, human resources, unless it's a small company with one person doing everything else. So, team building is so important for everyone because you are either leading a team or you are a member of a team. And either way, you are either contributing or becoming dysfunctional. And therefore, it's important for us to focus on team building. Teams are indispensable and crucial for achieving complex goals and driving innovations. I have not worked much in factories, manufacturing, but in bureaucracies and in educational setting. And for example, in an educational setting, your heads of departments make or break you. This is where actually leading a public institution is much more difficult than private institution, because oftentimes you don't have the right to hire and fire. You have to work with what you have. And that even demands a higher level of leadership skills, which you may not develop otherwise. So you need that to have a good organization producing high level, good university, good secondary school, good factory. You need good and effective teams. And within each of them, you need a leader. You need the accountant, chief accountant, whatever you call it, to really mobilize and make sure that your financial systems are operating these days, ICT, and how to use AI. A lot of people are at their depths, end of their depths, because AI is coming to take our jobs. No, AI can improve your jobs and allow even the ordinary worker to perform at a higher level. Just as a side, as a university professor who has over 100 titles, books, and articles to my favor, I look back at how I have suffered over the decades. In my case, not so much the ideas or researching, but shaping my things and editing and making Shiremwasi English a standard English. Now when I finish, I give it to Copilot or one of these AIs, and at least my English comes out well. So please learn how to lead your teams, and what seems to be a threat may become a high level of enhancement of your team's performance. However, there are certain peculiar challenges when it comes to leading teams. And the reason is that often the teams are smaller, so people are closer to each other. And in my language, we say that when the branches are close together, that's why they scratch each other and make noise. So there will be diverse group, gender differences, tribal orientation differences. If happen to be in an international organization, big racial differences. Not that it has to be different, it's not that bad, but you need to manage it. I don't know, I have to confirm it with my Indian friends that I hear the Indians, when they are saying yes, they shake their head like this. Whilst in my culture, you bring your head forward and down. So if you are not careful, when I'm in India, he says yes, I think he's saying no. These are little nuances that, again, as my colleague, leadership expert from UK, I don't know even whether Stephen is still alive, he's called Stephen Adei. Like my Stephen Adei, pronounced the same, except that it's spelled differently. His is Adair, Stephen Adei. And Stephen has brought a very innovative, well-recognized contribution to leadership, that at any point, the group in the team, they have their individual needs, of course. They have their families, they want to advance, they want bonuses, individual bonuses. But there's also the group need. The group has a work to do, and they have to do and achieve the team's goal, and probably exceed it. So you see that there can be a conflict between individual ambition and needs, the task to be undertaken, as well as the relationship to be built. And the closer you are, the more challenging and the greater the difficulty in managing and leading the group. That is where communication becomes very, very important. It's quite interesting. When team members get together for the first time, people start positioning, watching what the leader is going to say, what others are going to do, and other things. In the leadership literature on team building, we call it storming. And that is normal. It's like going to a new school from various regions, and you have to now size each other. In the same way, when we went to the university, some of us who had come from St. Vincent Training College with no classmate, and you see the fancy from guys together, the Prempeh College guys together, the Wege, the Bringers. Hey, Charlie, they are already coming with their culture, and you have to know how to maneuver. And then over time, you see that you start building new relationships among the others. And it happens in the team also. And you storm, then you become accommodate each other, normative, and then eventually you work together. And in all these things, communication is so crucial to effectively resolve conflicts, to encourage those who are weak, and then let the big people, the stronger ones, see themselves beyond their individual egos and achievement. In so doing, there are two things. At one level, you are still in a leadership role, even at the team level. You must get your goal, your vision right, your purpose contributing effectively to organizational success. You must learn how to manage change, how to pull together everyone's strengths, and of course moderating those who want to go solo for the sake of the group. So all that you do in leadership at the higher level, you do it at the team level. But there are certain uniqueness when it comes to team leadership. First of all, you cannot afford not for the team members to sing from the same hymn. Therefore, it's important to share the mission and objectives, and that everybody understands where we are going, as you say, to sing from the same hymn book. Again, oftentimes, especially in our part of the world, where performance measurements are not clear, then some people want to be sitting on the fence. And worse, in Ghana, I must confess, in my own country, that high performing members of the team are often attacked by the other team members because they think they are setting the standard so high. And they can even ask you, "Oh, Papa Juma, is that your father's job that you are killing yourself like that?" So the leader must be very sensitive and make sure that such negative tendencies of Abai Juma government work, oh, these are doesn't belong to us, and the rest are dealt with. Thus, you need to have specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant time-bound goals, and within your team members, be able to balance measuring individuals' contribution as well as the team. If you only reward individuals, you won't get a good team. And if it's also only team reward, you are not likely to get individuals to do their utmost for his highest, as also Chambers' renowned devotional book is titled, My Utmost for His Highest. How then do you do so? I believe that even within the team, there are individual responsibilities, and each member should understand their role and the expectations of them. In other words, we don't say high performance, punctuality, and the rest. But how you help others is one point. Working with a team to achieve organizational goals. And if you know that unless you contribute to the team effectively, no matter how well you contributed yourself, you are not likely to get a bonus. In one case, the measuring are 24, and unless you get above 20, you get no bonus, you get your salary. And since team related are more than 4, you know that you cannot go solo. Yes, you will perform your own tasks and your work ethic, but in addition, you can never get a bonus unless you have supported the unit or your group once. So it's very important for each member to understand their role and expectations, and that there has to be a balance between individual needs, the team needs, and then the task to be performed. Again, one of the things that if you are leading a group, you must be very conscious of and intentionally look at is the fact that within the team, there are different roles, and you don't put round pegs in a square holes. In other words, you should give everybody as much as possible the role that will enable them to shine, because it becomes quite frustrating. And it's so important that you make sure that they are not only properly assigned, but they have the tools, the training, the encouragement, and that you value their contribution. It is like the football match. No matter how good you are, if the team does not win, you have all lost. And therefore, you don't reward the person who scores the goals. Of course, you have to be in the front line in order to score the goal. The goalkeeper, unless there's a penalty shoot, does not score a goal. But remember, if there were no goalkeeper, you will go home with about 60 goals against you. So this balance is so important. And I will be coming again, because our time is up, to talk about the importance of leading, strong leadership role there, which styles tend to empower teams to perform better. And above all, if you're a leader, the importance of your credibility. Because if you are going to favor others, listen, you have lost your leadership. Credibility, as at the top, is equally important when you are leading a group. Because if you don't, then you lose trust. We'll be looking at managing conflicts, which they may come, and above all, how to encourage other members of the team to assume leadership role. In other words, it's not the Maradona at the top, but each one of them feels responsible for the success of the group. We will end here and we'll continue. Our next episode will be the second part of team building within organizations, because organizational leadership boils down to effective and high-performing teams. As usual, you always meet me on ZFM 101.9. ZFM is a radio station for leisure and business, which deals with important issues that affects our daily lives. And should you miss it, you will always meet me again at your leisure on YouTube. Look for Emeritus Professor Stephen Adei site and join me as we continue team building within organizations. Shalom, and may the Lord be with you.